Hello, this is TikTok and welcome to Beatbox Guru. This time I'm talking to MB14, who's a looping champion and a guy that had some really nice thoughts about looping and the art of layering the voices with the loop station. So enjoy that and please make sure you subscribe to the Beatbox Guru channel. Take care.
Hey, this is MB14 from France, and this is a big shout out for Beatbox Guru. Here we go.
Alright, nice.
Like this? Is good?
This is very good.
Okay.
So tell me about your looping. I know that you're a very advanced looper and I really respect your work.
Thank you.
Especially the harmonic stuff that you do. So this is very interesting for me. Did you have any singing experience prior to beatboxing?
Well, I started music actually with rapping. Well, I've always liked to do noises, to make impressions of people, of my teachers and stuff. I've always been expressive with my voice. But I started rapping when I was like 14 years old. Then I got into beatboxing. I discovered beatboxing with Naturally 7. And then I started to be interested in singing, actually with Naturally 7, because I thought very interesting to assemble beatboxing and singing, because for me beatboxing is not just making technical rhythms and very intricate patterns. For me it's also creating noises and imitating instruments, like just basically music, making music with the mouth.
Okay.
And so for me, beatbox is not just beatbox. You can assemble beatbox with overtone singing, with singing normally, making harmonies and stuff. And you can explore. There's so many ways to explore. Like for example, 2 days ago, I battled the Auxbox, and I did I overdubbed 5 whistles. Well, 3 voices and 5.
That was the beginning of the battle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing.
And like for me, it's the perfect way to explain this. It's very important to search for frequencies and to see how you can assemble noises with looping, because this is a great way to make music, because there's either you're beatboxing solo and you have to be precise and to mix the beatboxing and the melody, stuff like this. But with the looping, you can create a whole atmosphere just with your voice and just with noises. It just depends on how you assemble them. Like for me, it's important to take care of the notes and the musicality and just the technical aspects of harmonies. Because there's the beat, there's the rhythm section, then there's the harmonic section, then there's instrument imitation, there's the rapping, there's the singing. For me, there's plenty of ways to make music with the mouth.
Yeah, sure.
And looping is the best tool, I think, for this.
Okay, that was a very elaborate answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to jump into some looping techniques that you use. How long do you use the RC505?
I got the RC505 on April 2014. Before that, I was on RC30 with just two tracks.
Yeah.
And
do you use any vocal effects apart from that, or some other looping?
No, I don't like to use effects. Well, I allow myself to use some reverb. And lately I've tried to work a little bit with the slicer and the filter, but it's not my thing. I really like to keep it, well, it's my point of view, as I'm used to say, but I like to keep it authentic and just to show what you can do with purely your voice, not using any gimmick with some effects. Because, for example, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's not my thing. A lot of beatboxers, they use guitar to bass, flanger, a lot of beat repeat and stuff like this.
You hate the guitar to bass.
Yeah, I hate it because, well, it's not I hate it, but that's something that singers can relate to. it's because you have to be proud of the notes that you're reaching. Like for example, if you're a bass, the lower you go, the better you feel.
Yeah,
and it's the same for a tenor. The higher you go, the better you feel.
This
and
is cheating, right?
Yeah, for me it's quite cheating, because even if I'm a beatboxer, I'm a singer as well. So I want to make sure that all the notes I can reach are just with my voice. So if I want to, for example, and I really thank Napalm for that, because he brought the technique that was missing for me. Well, Ballsy invented it, I think, but Napalm pushed it to the extent of what it could be, and it's very helpful because I'm not a bass singer, you know, I'm a tenor, I guess. So there's certain notes I just can't reach, and it's the lip drag is the perfect way to avoid guitar to bass, because you can do like, and if you work it well on the microphones, it sounds so good. So you can use, there's so many sounds that you can use to enlarge your spectrum of sounds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, great. And please tell me about your favorite ways to manipulate the effects, the tracks that are already recorded. I mean, how do you use the track effects in the loop station? Because I've seen you use, I think, beat repeater a little bit.
When?
And then during the battles, no?
I tried to use the beat scatter, but it didn't work. I failed. But I.
What other effects do you use? Or which one
maybe slicer a little bit, but slicer, it's because for me it's not too much. I mean, the slicer just slices the sounds, so it's still a little bit natural. But I'm trying to avoid effects and just trying to be clever in the way I use my loop. For example, my favorite beatboxer is Tom Thumb, and he's my favorite looper as well. And I'm really getting inspired by the way he slices his sounds, but without effects. It's just like he presses the record button at a certain moment, yeah. And for example, he's like, and when he pushes the button, it's like, you see, during his showcase at the World Champs.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to do with the loop station, the RC505. For example, if I do like, and so the track starts like, and then I add another track like, and it's like, you see,
yeah,
I like to.
So, and then you set these tracks on one shots and play around with them.
Yeah. Yes, last year, sorry, I used it as an MPC, and you just have to go on the one-shot mode, one-shot function. You put it on, and you just have to sample the sound. You just do it, and if you want to layer several sounds, you go on one shot on, and you go on loop off. So you can layer several, you go on one shot off, loop off, loop length off, you record your harmonies or whatever layers you want to, and then you put it, you put it on one shot on, so it will be one shot. And then you do it with all the tracks, and you have a complete song.
When you're using measures in looping, so which do you always go on free mode, or do you use
always free?
Okay.
Always, because for me it's I'm never mixing several tracks. There's just one. Sometimes during my live shows, I mix my Asian Mongolian music round with Teardrop by Massive Attack. I start with my my Asian round, and then I let the loop off track that I did at the beginning. So there's this continuous note, and then I switch on the Teardrop. So there's the note like, and then. So this is the only time I mix two songs together, but it's always on free mode. So every track is on the same tempo, but I can make them as long as I want. Like for example, I can just sample and then after that I make a really longer harmony or a longer track, So yeah,
okay,
that's it.
Cool. And one more thing. What advice would you give to beginner beatboxers that are starting their adventure with looping?
I could say very much. I could say many things. I never use the metronome, personally.
Yeah.
Sometimes I make some mistakes on stage.
For practice, just for practice, no?
Well, I remember that when I started beatboxing, I didn't have a loop station yet. And I remember that Naturally 7 did have one in their shows. And I was watching their videos and I would pretend to loop at home. Like I was like a... And I would pretend to stomp my feet on my loop, but I didn't have one. So it was all mental and it was all imaginary.